All right. Oh. Hi guys. Welcome to Talk Times with Jessica. Welcome to my channel. So basically, this video is just going to talk a little bit of how I spent the past 3 to 4 years, how I spent them dealing with this disease called liver cirrhosis. And for those of you who don't know what liver cirrhosis is, it's basically when your liver, basically it just shuts down. So usually you get this from excessive like alcohol drinking. Usually this is, like a disease that you get later on in life. You get it when, you're much older, but they think that I might have gotten it because of like fatty liver or something. We're still not sure, but basically your liver stops functioning. Basically that's what it is. It stops everything. So basically around the age of 15, it's 15 is grade 10, right? So like 15-ish, like came back from Egypt. So we were studying for 6 months in Egypt for grade 9, and then when we came back, it was the summer, and then going into school for grade 10, I just wasn't feeling the greatest, and we did some tests, and we found out that I have liver cirrhosis. And liver cirrhosis isn't something that necessarily like runs in my family. Like it was just a very random condition that kind of popped out of nowhere. And being in grade 10, I mean, like, what am I drinking alcohol for? Even if it was, even if I was drinking alcohol, like, the situation wouldn't have started until I was older. Like, so it was a very rare condition for kids in my case that were, my age. So I kind of just lived with it. I was like, okay, well, I'm not like, it's not like anything's affecting me right now. I can live my life like I keep doing it. So over time, my skin, so as you see my skin right now, this is my natural skin color, but I'll insert pictures so that you guys can see like what my skin used to look like, and it was very gray. It was very dark and gray. It wasn't normal looking. It was like you could tell that there was something very wrong, but I didn't realize I was even getting that dark until like I started university. I didn't even realize it. So grade 10, everything was, relatively okay. Grade 11 is when you started to see more changes. So like my eyes started to get a little yellow, my skin and my lips were getting darker. The color of my fingernails were changing. They weren't, everything was just, I had severe jaundice. So I don't know if you can see. So on my like on the regular palms of your hands, they're supposed to be like a white, like pink. I was yellow. And if you knew me in high school or you saw me like in uni my first year, then you would have noticed that very well. So things started to get bad around when I started school, actually. So I was pretty much, for the most part, up until grade 12, I was pretty good. I was just a lot more sensitive by the time I got to grade 12, and just like, I just wouldn't eat too much, or it's like, but relatively, like, I was okay. Instead of starting school in September, I started in January. And basically, everything started off okay. But I was very dark, I was very yellow. So in April, I was starting to get really sick. My feet, within the month of January to like April, like my feet were starting to get bloated. So like my feet would look normal one day, and if, for example, I did something I shouldn't have done. So say, for example, I was like, okay, like, I drank alcohol. Say I had like one small can of alcohol. It could have been alcohol was alcohol. Like anything that could affect my liver, I started gaining fluid in my feet. So my feet would swell up. My stomach would be bloated. My thighs, like same everything. Just everything started filling with water, and then the next day it would like reduce. It was really weird. It was really weird. By mid-April, late April, I was, I had to be admitted to the hospital because I couldn't deal with everything. It was just really painful. On top of my liver problem, I had gallstones. So it's like I would also have my liver pain, and then I'd have my gallstones pain, and um, you know, two negatives don't always make a positive. You get me? So it was really annoying. Like I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't walk. I didn't want to do anything. When I was admitted to the hospital, it was a very long week. I was stuck a week. They updated my pills a little bit, and they sent me home. Everything started going downhill in May. Like April was already bad, but like May is like that's when things started getting scary for me. Like I had gone home a weekend. I forget for what. I had just gone home because I wasn't feeling great, and I was just like, you know what, let me go home and let me rest, get away from everything. I went, and things weren't getting great. They were worsening. So I got to a point where I couldn't even really I really could not do anything. Like I was almost bedridden. Like that's how bad it was. That it didn't matter what I did. I kept gaining and gaining and gaining weight, which was actually like water. So it was a whole thing. Like my feet, everything. Like I even have like stretch marks on my ankles from the fluid stretching my skin so much. So I think with that fluid, I gained like 120, 100 and that like just the fluid itself, that was like 120, 130 pounds worth of water. My sister and my brother, like bless their hearts, like they were with me through everything. Like obviously my family was with me through everything, but like since like I wasn't always able to see my dad, then I was here. Like my siblings, like they were really there, like the whole time. Like Val did everything she could to make sure that I would eat. Like I could go days without eating. I didn't want to eat anything I ate. It was just I always needed to have my feet rubbed because there wasn't enough blood circulation in my feet. So I always needed somebody to rub my feet. And John was always there to rub my feet. So shout outs to him because I know, rubbing feet isn't the most ideal thing. Something just told me I had to go to the hospital. So me and my sister went. Me and Val, we went down to the hospital. We had to take the bus and everything. Very, very, very uncomfortable. We got there, and by the time we had gotten to the hospital, things were a little calm with myself. Like my body didn't hurt too much, but it was still like, I didn't feel, I wasn't in as much pain as I was when I had woken up. So I was like, so we were there and we had to decide like, okay, like, do you want to be admitted or like, should we just go back? And I just remember telling myself, I was like, if I go back and I have to come back, I will not be able to endure that pain again. Like, let's admit me. So we admitted me, and I was stuck there for a month, 2 months, for almost 2 months, and I could only have clear fluids. That was the worst month of my life. I was very out of my comfort zone. So one thing that is supposed to happen with your body, you're supposed to go to the washroom at least, I think it's like 2 to 3 times a day, and you're supposed to, like stool, like you're supposed to poop every, at least I think, at least one time, I think it is at least one time a day or something like that, because if you don't, those toxins can make their way back up to your brain and you start to forget things. And that is exactly one thing that had started happening. I would forget things, like doctors would come in and ask me questions, and I'd be like, this, and my siblings would look at me like, no, Jess, like it's this, and I would look at them like, but I swear, like it was just very weird to realize that I was losing myself. I was losing part of myself while being sick. I was losing my memory. Say, for example, I barfed Monday and the doctors came in on Wednesday. I'd be like, yeah, I barfed yesterday. But they're like, no, like, my siblings would look at me like, no, Jess, you actually barfed Monday. And I'm like, but are we not Tuesday? And they're like, no, we're Wednesday. So it was just very, it was just weird. It was just very weird. I wasn't going to the washroom. It was, I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I'm being taken care of to a certain extent, sometimes I just feel a bit embarrassed, knowing that I can't do these things myself. Um, it was really sad. Like if you saw me, like it was just very sad. Being there, not be able to move, not be able to care for yourself. Yeah, like I started, like I don't. This was it was very. I don't know, like spiritually, this was also a very difficult time for my family. It like I don't know about you guys, but obviously like there's a lot of evil things out there, and one thing I very much understood is like it didn't make sense. Like something about this whole me being sick thing like just didn't add up. Being there, like I would see shadows when I'm trying to go to bed. Like I could wake up and there's like a shadow like at the feet of my bed. It was very different. And like one thing that I realized that I did have to start praying again, because I actually me and God, like that's my homeboy, but I was very mad at him. I was very enraged for a long time. So, like I wasn't feeling this whole I have to pray, I have to pray, I have to pray type thing. But when I started seeing those shadows, I was like, I can't play with my life right now. I can't play with what I'm seeing. Like, I need to pray about it. And one thing that very much came in handy while seeing these shadows and just going through everything I was going through was a Bible verse that God planted in my heart. And I just remember, I read it like once or twice, but I don't know, from that point on, from seeing it, it just kind of stuck with me. For those of you wondering what it is, it's Hebrews 11 verse 1. Faith is being sure of what you hope for and certain of what you do not see. Anyways, back to me being in the hospital. Eventually they were like, yeah, like Jess, you're going to have to have surgery. We're gonna have to put you on a list. I'm like, okay, finally they put me on the wait list, because it takes a lot of time to get an organ donor, and especially an organ that matches you specifically. And I just remember being there like it's gonna be like, this is gonna take forever, because it takes a long time. Like for you to be at the top of the list, you really have to be going like through it. It has to be for you, you know. And I just remember them coming in and they're like, yeah, Jess, like you're at the top of the wait list. And I look at them, I'm like, it's only been like 2 days, and they're like, yeah, like you're at the top of the wait list, and not only that, we found you in Oregon. And I'm like, huh? Like I look at them like baffled, like, so within a time span of 3 days, you already found me a liver? Like, guys, like genuinely speaking, like if that's not a miracle, like I really don't know what is, because it is not easy. It is not easy to get in Oregon. It's not easy to get that. They're like, yeah, like you need to do this operation literally like ASAP. Like we can't stall this. We can't, no, like we need to get this operation done. And so I signed my consent forms, all of that. Um, yeah, so they did the surgery. Everything went very, very, very well. Everything was good. I woke up. There was the tube down my throat. They were like, we just need to make sure that you can swallow without the tube. And I'm like, well, gave me something to swallow. I kid you not, with no wording, they're like, okay, we're gonna take it out. I'm like, okay. And I was just baffled. I was like, I just had a surgery and y'all are just gonna, okay, cool, no biggie. It was just, everything was just uphill from there. Minus the fact that, I got very, very skinny. 113 pounds. Yeah, I was 100, that was like 100, I was between 110 and 113 pounds when I left the hospital. It took me 2 months to actually start gaining weight. Yeah, I'll enter the picture of, me when I was super tiny. Yeah, and then I told myself I was ready to start my life again, and I very much did. I went back to school that same year. Like, imagine going from having a transplant and then just going straight back to school. Yeah, it wasn't the smartest idea to do, I can admit. I think a lot of the one of the reasons why I really wanted to go back to school is just because I didn't want to be behind. But my family made me understand, like, like school is like forever. Like, it's not gonna go anywhere. So till this day, I am taking care of myself. I am looking like a queen to better my health, better my mental health, just better everything overall. I'm just very grateful for everyone that is part of my life. Yeah, like you guys mean the world to me. And yeah, I now have this huge Mercedes like scar on my stomach. But it's a cute scar. I like it. But yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, share. And if you guys have any like video suggestions that you guys want me to talk about or that you want me to do, like let me know. Yeah, but I hope you enjoyed listening to how it is that, life went down for Kitoko when she was sick. So, yeah. Bye, guys.